How's it going, good people? Today on the agenda, I'm going to be talking about how I went about setting up Google search on my website. And a lot of people are like, wait, you can do that? Yeah, there's a way you can do that. In my opinion, especially if you're using a static website, that you want to have the search functionality for people to be able to find the content that they're actually looking for easy. At the same time, though, because it is a static website, it can be difficult to have those type of features. In some implementations that I have seen, they have basically created this JavaScript file that indexes all of the content and keywords on a particular static website. However, me seeing that being implemented is not necessarily great, because the way that the results are displayed, they're displayed in like a modal, and that modal doesn't necessarily get you exactly, at least in my opinion, to the thing that you're looking for, or makes it easy to find the thing that you're looking for. So that being said, this is how I implemented Google search on my static website. By the way, my name is Kenny. Thank you for checking out this video. Here we go. Now, I redesigned the almostengineer.com recently to use Bootstrap 4. I previously had the materials for MKDocs theme, and there were some things with it that I did not like. So I was like, all right, it's time to go to Bootstrap and implement what I want. One of the things that I got with it is that when you go to the Bootstrap website to get the example theme, you can get the nav bar with the search already put into it. And so what I did was I took the search and basically converted it so that it works with Google. You don't need to know any TypeScript. You don't need to know any TypeScript, JavaScript, any of those things. It is literally pure HTML and CSS if you want to style it. All right, so as we jump over to the source code, this is what I have. I have a form, and that action on that form takes you to google.com/search with by using the get method. Now, what will happen is, and I will show you later, is that the values in the form will then become part of the URL, and that search will automatically occur. We have two fields on this form, one of which is hidden, and that has the value of site:thealmostengineer.com. And basically what this is, so if you're going to implement this, you'll want to use site: and then whatever your domain name is. Do not include the www. Do not include anything after the .com, .org, .net, whatever you have. Do not include anything after that. You just want the domain name itself. The next input on this form is the actual box that your users will enter whatever they're searching for into. So as you see, this has a placeholder of search with Google. And if we come back to my site, this is that same placeholder. And when I type it, of course, the placeholder goes away. And then last but not least, we have a submit button that will actually execute or start the search. That is it to this form. Like I say, nothing else special needs to be done. So if we go back to the Almost Engineer, or the development version as it currently stands of this site, I can type whatever I want to in this box. So let me type, let's see, Black in Tech, for example, and I hit search. So then it takes me to google.com search with the site and the search criteria that I entered into the box. So as you see here, site, thealmostengineer.com. Now, what does this particular portion of the search do? This says, hey, only give me the results that are from thealmostengineer.com. You can do the same thing for your particular website. Just do site: and then the domain name. And then the latter part of this is the criteria or thing that you want to search for. Because I typed in Black in Tech, and I may actually need to come back and redo this. So let's do Black Tech. Yeah, let's do Black Tech. All right. And you can do the same operations that you would normally do in a Google search in the same search bar. So for example, I got 4 results by just searching for Black Tech within quotes. All right. So if you go back and I paste that back in here, it will then, again, like I say, it brings that, whatever you type into that box, it will take it and send it straight over to Google as is. So all of the rules that apply for doing searches on Google will apply to that same text box, because it is literally passing what you type in straight over to Google. And so you see, the only thing I get are the results that have black text in them, which is these 4 pages. Now, another aspect I want to talk about with this is, if you are going to use search with Google built into your static website, or just any website, it doesn't have to be static. Like, you could use, if you have WordPress or Drupal or something else of that nature, a database driven website, you can still use search with Google. Now, I will say that if you have a database driven website, your search results will be more accurate if you use the search that actually queries that database instead of using the search from Google. The reason I say that is because of the fact the changes that you may make to that website will be immediately or almost immediately available to that built-in search engine on the website, but Google will not crawl your site as soon as you make changes. So there will be a delay. It could be a day, it could be a week. I mean, Google does not crawl every site on the internet every time or every day. But I do have a suggestion that will help with letting Google know that your site has changed and for it to go and get the refreshed content. But that will be, you got to stick around for that. All right, so if you have the search with Google up here, one thing you also need to include, in my opinion, is a sitemap. The sitemap should list at a minimum the links of all the URLs of all the content on your site. If it does not, something is wrong with that sitemap. But the purpose of a sitemap is so that the search engines know what to look for. Let's see if I don't know if this will show it or not, but you should also have a robots.txt file. Okay, there we go. So the user agent, so this means this applies to all user agents. So crawling bots, you name it. You want to throttle the delay between each page. So like when it goes to the home page, I want you to wait 10 seconds before you click the next link. And you do that between every request. That way it doesn't look like spam. Also in this robots.txt file, you want to specify what links are allowed and which ones are not. So this here specifies everything is allowed. And then you give the location to the sitemap, which is the URL/sitemap.xml. Now your sitemap can be a different location, but this is where mine is located. Thus it's in my robots.txt file. And this is something that you will learn, the robots.txt file, that is, as part of search engine optimization and website performance, that is. So if you're going to do the search with Google, in addition to that search box, you also need to have a sitemap file with every web page on your site that is publicly accessible. Now, if you have some internal pages that you want to be indexed in Google, you can also include those in a sitemap. But typically those are not included in a sitemap because of the fact they are internal and they usually have some sort of restriction on them, meaning you have to log in or something of that nature. But you can include it in your sitemap so that Google indexes it. However, it won't necessarily be able to show the content from it because Google will not be able to actually log in to see it. And also, robots.txt file. You need that so that it knows what pages it can crawl, what pages it can't crawl, and where your sitemap is located. Once you have all of those things in place, then I would say the search with Google built into your website will be at its max performance. One other thing that I want to show you is this. So I have a GitHub action built into this particular project, my website project, that this one runs on a cron schedule. Now you can have this set up where it runs every time you do a deployment if you don't deploy often. But however you do this, you can do it on your own accord. This particular one is set on a schedule to run at 6:15 a.m. every Thursday. And this pre-built action is a sitemap ping. Google and Bing both have ways that you can communicate to them that the sitemap has changed. One of those ways is that you give them, there's a special URL, and that is defined in this GitHub action. But I'm sure you can do a search for it and find it yourself. This URL, the sitemap URL, is sent to this particular Google URL or Bing URL, to which then it says, okay, I've gotten a request that this site has changed. I will add it to my list of websites to check. Now, it's not going to check it as soon as you submit it. I'm not sure what the algorithm or timeline of it is. I think it's more so how much load is on the system, or how many sites, or when the last time it crawled it. And depending upon those various things, it will then crawl it again in the near future. Now, it may crawl it the same day that you submit that request to Google and Bing. It may be a week later before it does it. But either way, it adds it to a queue, and then eventually it goes checks. Now, all of that said, that's how I implemented search with Google on my particular personal blog and website. If you have any questions about how to do this on yours, feel free to drop those down below. Yes, I do answer questions, and I do get back to you in a timely fashion. Last but not least, please be sure to subscribe and follow. Also, give this video a thumbs up if you've learned something new, and I will see you in the next one. Thank you for watching.